everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope you are all keeping safe and well. It's build it time and we're going to build the F22 Raptor from Freewing. This is a 64mm EDF. This is the high performance version. We're going to put it together. I've got the manual. I've taken a good look at it. Specification page in the manual, we'll take a close look at that. I won't read it out to you. I will point a few things out. That it does use a 40 amp ESC. They are plastic servos, but they are digital. And it's less than 1 kilogram. That's obviously without the battery. And the thrust is 1.3 kilograms, which obviously means it's a greater thrust to weight ratio than 1:1. It should just leap out of my hands. I do intend to hand launch it. I will not be putting the undercarriage on. And we will move straight on to installing the wings. But before I install the wings, I want to take the front nose wheel off. As I said, I'm not going to be using the landing gear on this. I'm having a grass field. This is coming out. I'll leave the servo in, that doesn't matter, but this leg and everything has to come out. Now I've looked on the outside here and there doesn't seem to be anything holding it on, so it's got to be from inside here. I've swapped it around because there's 2 grub screws here. One's going to be for the main wheel and one's going to be for this. Well, I'm hoping when I drop the main wheel out, all of this will come up. Let's give it a go. I don't like these things where you've got to go in this way. Go out the way, let's put that back. Go in here. No, actually, I can't. I'm going to have to do it off camera.
More moments later.
Okay, well, they didn't want me to take that off, that's for sure. So I've undone the bottom of the grub screws and it's held on with that blue Loctite stuff. There's a bit of a brutal turn on it, but I've got it off. And of course the arm that goes into the servo arm. Oops, let's take those out. This bit. This arm would go into the servo arm like that. It all comes out in one piece. This leaves the wheel rod here and I can just push that through. And hey presto, I can pull the wheel off. Job done. I'm leaving the servo in, there's no point taking that out. And on the underside where the wheel was, if I can turn this around, it's already a nice smooth plastic piece just with a tiny little pinhole in it. Oh, we've done that. What's next? Right, next we add the wing. Something that's interesting is it says to use, it says C and it's PWA 3 × 8 4 pieces. Well, we've got 2 lots of 4, but looking at the size of the holes that they have to go through, I'm guessing it's these ones with the pressed in almost self-contained washer. So I'm guessing it's these ones. I think I might have shown this when we did the unboxing, but it's definitely been moulded here for a horn. It's currently got one there, but it was moulded here for a horn. Of course there's nothing there and the servo's here. But I do like the fact it's got these, what I call knuckle hinges, plastic hinges, as well as a foam hinge. It's really nice to know. But anyway, yeah, we have to put this on this way, turn it over, and the 2 screws, one goes through there, one goes through there. They are screwing into plastic. Right. There's no wing spars, they're already built into the wing. So that's the spar that's part of the wing, it just goes through a hole. We then have this connector with the two hooks on the end. And I've just pulled it out slightly to see where the orientation is, and the signal's at the top. And the signal wire on this one is also at the top. So I'm just going to join those two together. You're not going to see much while I do that. In fact, you probably won't see anything. It's easier to do with the wing off, actually. And then you get them to click. Let me put that back in there. Yeah, so you can see the orientation. And now I'm just going to feed that all back into the fuselage. Whence it came. Should be okay. Let's come out a bit. Let's work that wing in. There we are. That's simple. Really simple. I'm going to flip it over. Make sure there's no trapped wires or anything. And it looks perfectly aligned there. And we're going to be putting two screws. They are crosshead screws. Now it's important, I think, that you get that straight. So I'm just going to start that one. I'm not going to screw that in. And I'll do the same on the front. Make sure that's up there. Get that started. That's it. Okay. They look good. Alright, let's screw those down. Cue the music. Okay, that was done. It looks like it's looking good. Not bad at all. Let's get the other one done. Let's flip it over, see what we've got. Yes, very nice, I think. Very nice indeed. I already like the look of this. They're the main wings. Onwards and upwards. What's next? Stabilators, or elevators as they've called them. Again, it looks as though we best do this upside down. This is interesting, something I hadn't realised because this is an all-moving surface. There's actually a very small gap between the aileron and this stabilator. Excuse me.
A little later.
Where were we before we were so rudely interrupted by my take your medicine alarm? Okay, so it looks as though that's it. Fix with screws B1 and B2, and they are these tiny little screws, if you can see those. So I've changed my screwdriver to a crosshead that fits and just move the magnet over. Let's see what I can see here. I'm making an educated guess that the screw actually goes in on this piece here, which actually isn't clean. It's interesting. This has been cut and there are some bits hanging off it. That's been cut down there. It's done it on both. I wonder who did that. Anyway, that goes in there. We have to make sure we get it straight. Just screws into there. Now, do I screw it all the way? Surely not. Let's try it. It's probably lock it up if I do. Yeah, look, it's locked it up. Let's back it off a notch. It's still a bit stiff. There we go. Okay. It's not going anywhere. Is to tighten it up, then back it off. That's sticking there, and just back it off until that's sticking there. It's not sticking there. And what I don't know is if these servos are centered, because we have to add the push rod. Let's make the assumption they are. Okay, according to this, the elevator, it doesn't really help because it's got to be the right way up. The elevator shouldn't be completely level with the fuse. It's got to be like that, slightly up elevator. And it is 6mm. Wow. Okay, let's see what we've got here. That might be about right. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what we get. This goes in the top hole. Yeah, the top hole's far too small. So we have to ream it out a little bit. Just enough to take the rod. And then push the rod in. Out through the other side and twist it. Wow, I don't know, you know, that might be right. I'll be quite surprised. Okay, those the horns on the elevator are also too small. The elevator and stabilator are also too small for... I don't want to make them too big because if you do that you get too much slack. There we go. Now let's try that again. That's it, this time it's gone through. Not too bad at all. It's probably too much, but I will measure it when we flip it around the other way. It looks wrong. Take a look at that now. Look at that. It's up quite a bit, but the book says it's 6 to 7mm. That looks a bit too much to me, but let's get our millimeter measurer. From top edge to top edge. That's exactly right. That's how the instructions say it should be. Look here. Yeah. Correct elevator install angle, 6 to 7mm from the top of the... They called it an elevator, let's call it an elevator, to the top of the fuse. Wow. Okay, that's right. We now repeat that whole process for this side. Cue the music. again here on this, you can see this is coming up a bit. So when we check this side, let's check this side here. This is the bit we're checking now, and we want that to be 6 to 7 millimeters from the top here to the top here. It's a bit more. There's definitely 7 on that. This one's more like 8. So it just needs a half turn in. Alright, they are now from the top of the stabilator to the top of the fuselage at the end. They are 6mm, and the difference here as well, which is probably seen easier, that's also 6mm. And they're shown between 6 and 7 on the diagram, so I think that's okay. That's centered. And we've got the 6mm, and we've got the different movements. So level is not correct. If I set this servo center, that's given 6mm up elevator. Okay, so that's alright, I'm happy with that. Let's grab the ailerons while we're here just to check that they're centered. Slight movement. Let's get them centered, see what we're looking at. Okay, that one looks down a bit, this looks up a bit. So I will do the old twisting clevis game until they're level. And to quote Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator, I'll be back. Right. Let me eyeball those. I reckon that's level. And it is level on my... There might be a fraction out on this side. I could do half turn. Half turn on that one. Let me get that done. And now, as the old British gas adverts used to say, we're cooking on gas. I've just eyeballed that level. This is level here. This is level here. I've measured those. They're 6mm from the top of the stabilator to the top of the fuse, and the same on this one. So that is how it should be. And just by eyeballing the ailerons, the servo meter is showing that the servos are dead center. And the next bit is, they call it a rudder, but it's a fin. So bank and yank. Well, let's take a look at those fins. Well, we know that they come out. So I'm guessing, no, they come out. So that one goes in there. And that one goes in there. And they are just screwed in. Wow. Well, there should be a right and left plastic plate, but it's already in place. We use a screw called a PA 2.6 times 10. There should be 2 of them. So we've got to get this pushed into here. And it doesn't want to fit very well, to be honest with you. Oh, that didn't sound good, but it's okay. That's strange. Yeah, okay. So that is now fitting well. Whatever that crunch was, so that if you picked it up, it seems to have sorted the problem. Let's turn this one upside down. And there's a plastic plate here. and we're going to be screwing into that. There's the plate. Let's get this in place. I mean, it does just fit, but it's there we go. Cue the music. Basically finished. There we are. Now I'm going to go and mark the CMG and all that sort of stuff. I think this is showing you that you measure it from the wing root. From the wing root back, it can be 83 to 88, which is of course a 5mm variance. So I'm going to go to 85 for the maiden, because they've shown it on the diagram sort of about here in the centre, around about here. But let's see where it comes. So what are we doing? We're doing 85, I said. $85, yeah, it's about right. Yeah, okay. That's 85, brings it to just behind these plastic bits. The plastic bits are 80, 5mm behind those, they're 80. 5mm behind those is what I'm going to do, so that's even easier. I'll just put that there, mark a 5mm. I'll do that. I'll put them outboard a little bit because this is a nice straight edge.
Later that same evening.
Rightio then, here we are. It's all assembled and I've done some tinkering with it. I've marked the CMG, which is here and here. I decided to do it on the bottom, and as you can see, that balances quite nicely on that CMG mark. Slightly nose heavy. However, I have had to add 30 grams of lead iron here and another 30 here. 60 grams of weight. Now, one of the reasons for that, I believe, is if you take the main landing gear, forget about the nose gear, the main landing gear and all these plastic bits, they're 45 grams themselves, which is behind the centre of gravity. The model is definitely designed, or the battery bay is definitely designed to have a 2200 in it with your landing gear. Because if you put a 2200 in it without your landing gear, it's extremely nose heavy. So this balances out at the moment with the 60 grams on the back at the very tail, but I've taken 45 off, but I've had to add 60 and it's further back. Why is that? Well, It's me being me. Here you can see the location of a 2200, which is, it's got space at the back, space at the front. We're only looking at this at the moment, so I don't want to talk about what's at the front. And that fits in there almost dead centre, and it balances out fine. But a 2200 is a 2200. So what I've done is I've made it. Oh, this is terrible. So I can take out a 2200 4S and I can put a 2800 in there, just push it further back, strap it down, put the canopy back on, and the C&G is still totally alright. Just by moving the battery that's a bit heavier further back, but it's a 2800 50C. I'll get more flying time. And I've done that so I can get Zippy Compact 2200 60C in it. I can get this Nanotech 2200 50C in it. I can get this, it's a Ritmax High Energy 2800 50C in it, and it'll even take the 2900 Overlander 4S, which is 35C, because it's a slightly lower C, it's a slightly smaller and less weighty battery pack. So I've got 4 packs I can choose from. It all balances out at the 85, I think I set it at. Yeah, 85 on the C&G, and I just have to, all of those batteries go right back to this bulkhead here. All of the bigger batteries, the 2200 Turnigy sits dead centre. I took the tray off, tiny little tray, and I stuck some anti-slip matting on it. That will stop the battery slide forward. The strap is good where it is with the batteries pushed right back. I've disconnected the rudder, so I'm only actually using 3 channels. So I've got throttle, aileron and elevator. I'm not using the rudder, which was the steering, and I'm not using the reverse because there's no point in using reverse because I'm going to hand launch it anyway, so it's not going to roll off anywhere. And I've stuck AR630 in the front, which of course has Safe Select and AS3X capabilities. Right, so that's all the tricky dicky stuff I've been doing. Everything else, I haven't set it up yet, is fine. So this is where I'll be holding it, where the wheels are supposed to go. It is behind the C&G, as you can see, but with your finger poised there, it's a good balance with the battery, and you can get a good level throw, but you shouldn't need it. It should just go out of your hands. Even with that added weight, it'll still come in at a better power to weight ratio of 1:1. Yeah, so that's the build. It took quite a while, but that's because I'm filming it. I don't like having to add weight, but there you go. You have to do what you have to do. Just about to do a bind. Let's see what happens. Bind. Binding.
Binding. Bind complete. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry.
Well, that's pretty isn't it? What the hell's that done? So I'm going to go in to forward programming.
Throttle off F22 Raptor is safe.
And just cancel everything. Do a factory reset on it. Apply. There we go. Up, down, right, left. So they're all the correct way.
Mid rates, high rates, mid rates, low rates.
So they're low rates as per their setup through the transmitter. They look massive to me. I've also noticed that I need to reset everything because it looks like my servo tester didn't have surfaces perfectly lined up. This is definitely up and this is definitely down. So I will do a trim on that, and then I want to check. It looks right, but I do want to check the elevator or stabilator. I also want to set up AS3X, but not right now. But what I do want to do is set up the throttle. So now we're bound. Disconnect that.
Throttle on.
Throttle is on.
Timer start.
Full throttle on my throttle stick. I expect to get 2 beeps, then I can pull the throttle stick back.
Timer stop.
It's very quiet, isn't it? I'm not bound, but I think I've got my throttle settings right. Yeah. Tiny little movement, and it's on. Whoa! It's got a lot of blast for a little 64mm. Good! I've just got to take this away because I want to do the orientation setup of the AR630. And you can do it manually, but I like doing it using the programming method. I'll be back in a minute.
2 hours later.
Finished. Everything's finished. Gyro set up. Rates are set up. Well, you know, the CFG's sorted. I've got my nose art on this one. This one is a Gypsy Danger nose art. Thank you for watching. Keep well. Stay safe. And I look forward to you coming along and joining me on another video. Cheers.